Hello and welcome to Quick Tip 65, and in this quick tip we're going to be looking at how you can work out if a condition has occurred within a certain number of bars. So for example, you might want a situation where a cross of the moving average has occurred and then some other condition occurs. So we need to be able to work out if that has happened, if something has happened within a certain number of bars, bearing in mind that oftentimes people will say, well, I want this and this and this to happen, then I will get into a trade, etc. When in reality, the things don't necessarily occur exactly on the same bar. So let me just show you a couple of techniques for doing this. So what we're actually going to be doing is looking when a fast moving average crosses under a slow moving average, and then we're going to be according to a user input, working out how many bars are within that number. And in this case, I've got it set to 5. So you can see we've got the cross under, then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars indicated by these drawing some asterisks on the chart. So let's have a look at the first one, which is the one I tend to use, and that is using a counter. And what I do, I increment the counter each bar by 1, and I do that with counter plus equals 1. I could also write counter equals counter plus 1 if you prefer. And I'm drawing I'm plotting the averages on the chart, calculating and plotting. But then what I'm doing is if the fast average crosses under the slow average, then I'm resetting the counter to 0. And then I've got another routine here saying if the counter is less than a user input number, which in this case is going to be 5. If it's less than 5, then we're going to draw the text on the chart as I just showed. Incidentally, another thing that I've done here is you'll notice that I put into the variable of the counter, I put the value of 5. And the reason I did that is because otherwise for the first few bars where we're counting, the program would mistakenly think that a cross has occurred when actually it hasn't. It's just because the counter hasn't got above that first number to be able to be reset. So that's one way of doing this, and I've got that plotting a white asterisk on the chart. As you can see, I've made these rather larger. And the other technique is a technique where most of it is exactly the same, except now I'm using another variable called crossInt. And what I do, I draw plot the averages. What I do is say if we have a cross, fast average crosses under the slow average, then we set crossInt to be equal to 1. If we don't have a cross, we set it to be 0. And then because we're just interested in has this occurred within X number of bars, we can actually use a summation function and say sum of crossInt over the bars that we're interested in. Again, that's the user input. And if that is greater than 0, in other words, there has been a cross within those bars based on that variable, then we can also plot, or rather draw the asterisk. And you see I'm drawing it in red, and I've just displaced the two values apart a little bit, and you can see that they both give the same result. So hopefully you will find this useful.